It is a call to reclaim the imagination and explore the frontiers of consciousness. Hello my friends, it's Tom Hatsis, and this is the Stoned Ape Theory. What if the key to our evolution, our language, creativity, even our sense of self, was hiding in a cow pasture? Today we're diving deep into the Stoned Ape Theory, a radical idea first proposed by author and thinker Terence McKenna. Was our species shaped by a certain fungus? Or is that just another far-out trip? Let's dive deep into what McKenna actually said, weigh the values of his ideas, and see where they just might hit an evolutionary brick wall. But first, if you're into this kind of content, please give this video a like and a share, subscribe to the channel, and find me on Instagram, tom.hatsis. First, let's break it down. Terence McKenna was a writer, ethnobotanist, and one of the most poetic voices in the Psychedelos movement. In his 1992 book, Food of the Gods, McKenna proposed what he called the stoned ape hypothesis. The idea? Roughly 100,000 years ago, as early hominins migrated across Africa, they encountered a new kind of food source, a certain fungus growing in the dung of grazing animals. According to McKenna, this fungus didn't just give our ancestors a good time. It rewired our consciousness and accelerated human evolution. Here's how McKenna thought it all worked. First, low doses of psilocybin may have sharpened visual acuity, a survival advantage for hunting. Second, medium doses might have increased sexual arousal and group bonding. And yeah, they certainly do that. Third, high doses may have led to full-blown mystical experiences, planting the seeds for language, art, religion, and the idea of self. In McKenna's words, and I'm not going to try to do a McKenna voice because I totally suck at doing impersonations, but here's what he had to say. It was at this stage that religious ritual, calendar making, dance, and the sense of the sacred took hold. In short, this fungus wasn't just a trip. It was a catalyst for human evolution and culture. Now, why did this theory resonate with so many people? Well, most obviously, it's fun, and it reframes a certain fungus not as fringe or criminal, but as central to what it is to be human. It also offers a kind of Psychedelos origin story, a way to re-enchant the human narrative. Let's highlight some of the appealing points. Group cohesion and empathy. Modern research shows that this fungus enhances connectivity, feelings of oneness, and empathy. In a tribal context, those effects could have helped foster human bonding, storytelling, and myth-sharing. Second, neuroplasticity. Studies show that this fungus enhances neuroplasticity. In other words, how we rewire our own brains. Now, if this is true for ancient humans, it's possible that over the generations this might have fostered cognitive evolution. Third, mystical experience and symbolic thinking. This fungus reliably induces, well, at least for me, mystical experiences. Visions, feelings of oneness, and encounters with non-ordinary states of reality. Fourth, it challenges the great man view of evolution. Instead of evolution being about brute force and chance, McKenna's idea allows for certain things like cooperation and creativity to enter the picture. Now, let's put on our skeptical goggles, because while poetic and enchanting, the theory runs into major scientific challenges. First, there is the lack of evidence. There's no archaeological or genetic evidence showing that this fungus played a role in hominin evolution. We don't have mushroom residue in bones or tools, and we can't detect past trips in DNA. Second, and perhaps most important, evolution doesn't work that fast. Even if mushrooms increased neuroplasticity in individuals, evolutionary change happens over many generations, only if those changes lead to higher reproductive success. 100,000 years ago is nowhere near enough time for a mushroom or really any specific thing, like anything that we eat, to have caused such a jump in human evolution. I know it might seem like a long time to us, like 100,000 years ago. Yeah, it seems like a long time, but in the grand scheme of things, it's barely the blink of an eye. Third, the visual acuity argument lacks strength. McKenna claimed low doses of this fungus improved vision, helping with hunting. But there's little empirical evidence to support this. Some studies suggest perceptual enhancement, but the effects are not consistent or reliable enough to drive survival on a mass scale. Fourth, highly speculative mechanisms. The idea that this fungus gave birth to language or symbolic thought is intriguing, but McKenna offers no clear causal mechanism for how that might have happened. Evolutionary biology doesn't work on vibes, man. It requires demonstrable selection pressures and reproducible effects. Fifth, the romanticization of indigenous use. McKenna sometimes blurred the lines between ancient use and modern indigenous practices, making sweeping claims about shamanism without always grounding them in anthropology. So if the Stoned Ape Theory doesn't hold up scientifically, does it still have value? Maybe not as a literal explanation for our past, but as an inspiration for the future. Today, this fungus is being studied for depression and anxiety relief, trauma healing, spiritual growth, and creativity and problem solving. We're learning that these substances can expand our models of reality, reduce rigid thinking, and reconnect people to meaning. In that light, McKenna's deeper message still holds. It is a call to reclaim the imagination and explore the frontiers of consciousness, carefully and responsibly, but also boldly. So what do we do with the Stoned Ape Theory? Is it science? No. Is it mythology? Well, maybe. Is it useful? Well, that depends on how we use it. McKenna's genius wasn't in offering lab-tested data. It was in pointing towards possibilities. He invited us to ask, what role does altered consciousness play in human flourishing? Can these sacred medicines offer insights that traditional science overlooks? And, most importantly, what stories do we want to tell about ourselves? In a world that can often feel mechanical and hollow, McKenna gave us a mythos where nature is intelligent, mind is sacred, and the mysteries are well worth exploring. Whether or not the Stoned Ape Theory is factual or not, maybe the bigger truth is this: our minds are still evolving, and we just might have a say in where they end up next. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the Stoned Ape Theory. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments, do you think this fungus played a role in human evolution? Or is it just a beautiful trip of the imagination? Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and question everything. I'm Tom Hatsis, reminding you that you free your mind by using your brain. Peace.